All right, what's happening? All right, appreciate y'all joining us for our Tuesday Travel Talks. Travel Talk Tuesday is in full effect. Hey, if you're watching here on Facebook, do me a favor. If you're watching this on replay on Facebook, do me a favor and type replay in the comments. Let us know where you're watching. To everybody here in my Zoom platform, appreciate y'all joining us this afternoon. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. But let's have a good discussion on our Travel Talk Tuesdays. I'm just getting my screens together over here. It's not cooperating with me. If y'all know me, y'all know technology loves to give me the flux. So some of y'all can feel me on that. How y'all doing this afternoon? Let me know where you're watching from or where you're chimed in from, whether you're on Zoom or you're on Facebook in our Sankofa Experiences Urban Intellectuals Facebook group. I am in the south suburbs of Chicago. I'm back in the Chi-Town. Hey, Detroit, Sarah, I just left Detroit. Um, Man, literally, what was that, Sunday? I think I just left. Yeah. And if you've been following us, you know, I recently got back from Senegal on our Senegalese experience. Senegambia, we went to Senegal and Gambia, and I am obsessed with the Senegalese food. I don't know if y'all are, going to these places or what is going on, but let me tell you, Senegal and the Gambia got it going on when it comes to African food. The Wolof people are amazing. I stuffed myself so much so I found me a Senegalese restaurant in Detroit and went there and ate and enjoyed that as well. There's one here in Chicago, or there's a few here in Chicago. I'm gonna be going there as well. I'm like the Senegalese expert now. Maybe not an expert, but I'm passionate about the food. It's absolutely delicious. If y'all have a chance to go with us on this adventure, I definitely hope that you do. Um, as usual, I'm gonna we're in Detroit. Oh, I gotta get the name for you. Hold me to that name by the end of this, Sarah. Let me look at my group chat with my family. Oh man, I gotta get you this spot. Yeah, morning, Dad. I'm available at 3. Oh, that's the Cuba trip. Maddie's African Restaurant, 21611 Grand River Ave, Detroit, Michigan. So 21611 Grand River Ave is Maddie's, Maty apostrophe S, African Restaurant. If you want some chiboudin, though, that is the original jollof rice. It was created first by the Wolof people out of the Senegalese area. They only serve that on Fridays, right? Chiboudin. The yassa was amazing. Yeah, I didn't get no chiboudin. I wanted that, so I'll definitely be back. So, all right, I'm glad you held me to that. Maddie's in Detroit, so shout out to Maddie's. That was definitely a good experience. And Yassa here in Chicago, I'm coming to see about you. We're gonna test your Senegalese gangster. All right. I appreciate y'all joining me. If you have any questions, you can feel free to drop them down in the comments. We'll try to follow up. And if you're here on the Zoom with me, as we chime in, we'll give you a chance to come on the mic and ask any questions directly. Today, I'm talking about a couple of important things, but let me bring up my screen here and let me jump into the presentation so I don't hold y'all for too long. All right, let me know if you can see that. Give me just a yes in the comments. I think I should be able to see your comments. Yes. Ashley, let me know. I think we should be good. That should be on your screen. You should see our logo, Travel Talk, Sankofa Experiences, Travel Talk. Yes, thank you, Patricia. Appreciate that. All right, let's jump into this and just get into an intro of who we are and what we're doing here. That's the idea behind this. No, come on. All right, my little video don't want to play. Okay, there we go. Welcome to Travel Talks, where There we go. Welcome to Travel Talks, where we embark on a journey of discovery with Sankofa Experiences, powered by Urban Intellectuals. I'm your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, here to guide you through our African diaspora's rich history and culture. Sankofa Experiences is more than just travel, it's a movement. We dive deep into our roots across Africa and the diaspora, turning every journey into a powerful connection with our ancestors. Our mission? To make the exploration of Black history accessible, inspiring, and informative. Join us as we share insights from our travels, celebrate our history, and foster a deeper understanding of our collective identity. With Sankofa Experiences, every destination is a step closer to home. Let's explore together. Welcome to Travel Talks. All right, welcome to Travel Talks. This is just our weekly communication centered around our Sankofa Experiences, talking about traveling to the motherland and beyond, right? Traveling the African diaspora, because we actually don't just travel Africa. We have some destinations starting in 2025 outside of the continent, specifically being Brazil and Colombia. And we're adding a couple of more, so hang tight on that. But yeah, what's going on in the company? I often like to give an overview of what's going on in and around the company. I realize there's a lot that happens inside of Urban Intellectuals, and most people aren't aware of everything that we're doing. I mentioned that we just wrapped up our Senegalese and Gambia trip. That was our inaugural trip. It was a beautiful experience. If you can check out last week's Travel Talk, I kind of gave some highlights, shared some images, some videos, and we'll be sharing more and more of that as the time goes by. It was a beautiful trip. I was thoroughly shocked by the food. I thought, I had an abundance of African food. But obviously I hadn't been to this region. So if you're a foodie, I think the entire trip is worth the food experience, to be honest with you. It was a beautiful thing. If you're an adventurous, I walked with the lions. I petted some crocodiles. We saw the monkeys. We were on a safari there in West Africa. It was a beautiful experience. That and of course we went to Goree Island and had that experience there of where the slave trade kicked off. In Senegal, we went to Kunta Kinte Island, which is the home of the slave trade there in the Gambia. The Gambia stole everyone's heart. It was a beautiful experience and something that you just kind of have to come and see for yourself. I didn't know much about the Gambia before we got there, and it was an incredible experience to say the least, right? What else is going on? You can join us if you're interested in South Africa. This Thursday, we'll be having an info session breaking down the full trip going to South Africa. That's May 30th, Thursday, May 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can check that out. I believe Ashley should drop the link. Yes, she already did it. There, if you want to go ahead and sign up and join us for that particular discussion and any specific South African questions that you have. Travel Talk Tuesdays, every Tuesday. So the next one after this will be June 4th, 2024. We definitely want to invite you to that. I want to give a word of caution, right? And I'm going to come on real quick for this. We talk a lot about the importance of travel insurance when you're going off on these trips, right? We talk a lot about these trips are not cheap. Right? These aren't discounted adventures that we bring our audience on. This isn't, the booze cruise or anything like that. You're going for a historical experience, not just a vacation, a historical experience and a reconnection into these areas. And we bring on a lot of professionals and all of that, right? But we talk about securing your investment. And we talk about the importance of travel insurance specifically, right? Like we insure our cars, we insure our homes. Shoot, we got medical insurance at home for our bodies, right? And these trips are no different. And this is a story that I want to share. I recorded this a little earlier to kind of drive home the importance of getting travel insurance with medical. I'm going to explain it in this video. And I tell you, listen, we don't sell travel insurance. We don't make $1 off of any of this. We refer you to third-party people. But this is the reason when you travel abroad, outside of the continental United States, you need to have travel insurance. And I hate that this lesson has to be driven home with such a drastic point, but you will see. And hopefully, when you start to have your excursion, whether it's with us or with anybody else, you invest in the travel insurance. And this is why. Let me share this with you. Hey, what's happening, good people? I just wanted to come to you real quick and have an important discussion. Listen, with our Sankofa Experiences, our Black History Travel movement inside of Urban Intellectuals, we often are talking about the importance and the relevance of travel insurance. A lot of people don't want to make that investment in travel insurance, but I'm telling you, it's always worth it. Listen, we don't sell travel insurance. We don't make a dime off of this. This is all about protecting yourself and protecting your investment. What am I talking about specifically? There was a recent case, actually it happened this month, and I wanted to bring this conversation up for you so that you can see exactly what we're talking about. Georgia woman falls sick on cruise ship, causes financial hardship for her family. This was a terrible case. The cruise ship dropped the woman off at the hospital in the DR, but doctors advised she take a medical flight to be treated in the U.S. Get this backstory. After taking a Carnival Cruise Line to the Bahamas with her husband on Sunday, Georgia grandmother Loretta Cox found herself clinging to life on a ventilator in the Dominican Republic hospital, and the staggering medical costs required to transport her back to the U.S. for treatment continued to mount. The 54-year-old mother of 6 and grandmother of 9 had embarked on a cruise from Florida as a leisure trip, but her condition rapidly deteriorated with fluid filling in her lungs, necessitating for her to be placed on the boat's ventilator. She didn't even make it to her room, Cox's daughter said. She collapsed and 2 passengers helped her and called the medic. On May 21st, 2024, the cruise ship dropped her off at the hospital in the Dominican Republic, where she stayed for several days. Cox's family collected $28,000 to secure the medical flight to land in Fort Lauderdale by Thursday. However, the expenses continued to escalate, including $28,000 bill the family paid to have the ambulance transport her to the hospital for an intensive care. According to Brooke, everything is $10,000, $15,000, $24,000. The crux of the issue is the Dominican doctors, the Dominican doctors cannot adequately treat Cox as they don't accept her insurance. So it would cost her $4,000 a day to remain. Doctors confirmed they could keep the woman stable. However, they advised her to arrange special medical flights back to the United States to undergo necessary treatment. One company has quoted over $23,000 up front for such a flight. She's everything to us, Brooks said about the cruise nightmare. We're not prepared for a loss like this, not now. It is unknown what coverage Cox has. However, travel sites like Travel Insurance encourage travelers to to secure travel insurance when taking on a cruise or any type of trip. According to the website, most cruise plans cover unexpected medical costs if the health emergency occurs during the trip. This is particularly important if you're on an international cruise, because most standards of health insurance plans don't cover treatment in foreign countries. The site stated, paying a small amount for travel insurance plan up front can save you a huge amount of money in the long run if the emergency were to occur. But this is the exact reason why we implore our guests to get medical travel insurance with medical. It's very important. You never know what can happen. You just want to make sure that you're securing your greatest investment yourself, because things happen, right? And the fact that your medical insurance is likely not to be accepted in another country, they want that cash up front. And it's not going to be a little bit, as you can see the situation with Mrs. Cox that happened this month on a cruise ship, right? So when we're traveling, we are always encouraging our guests to lock in their travel insurance with medical, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that if something happens, they have enough insurance to get back to the States so that they can be well taken care of under their traditional medical insurance. So, man, that's just a word of caution We're definitely going to keep the Cox family in our prayers and hope everything works out for the best for them. But make sure that you're securing your greatest investment, this trip of a lifetime that you're looking to take with the Sankofa Experiences or with any travel arrangement that you have. Travel insurance with medical is a necessity. Please take advantage of that. Thank you. Yeah, I saw that this morning. It came through our desk, and I just wanted to make sure that we put that out to our audience because it's not, man. I mean, that I feel so. She was just going to the Bahamas, right? It's like you're right there. But when we tell you that these foreign countries don't accept your medical insurance, they don't accept your medical insurance. And they want that cash up front. So before they do anything, they're expecting cash payments on a daily basis. And you see the expense can quickly spiral out of control. I mean, they were talking about $4,000 a day. And that's once she got there, right? It was $28,000 to be transported to the facility, right? And these are life and death situations. Hopefully, nothing like this ever happens to you while you're on a trip. But this is why you see travel organizations like really, really leaning into, yeah, I know you got your insurance. Yeah, I know your credit card companies say that you got some sort of insurance regarding that. But when it comes to your health, I don't think that you just can't be too cautious. And literally, we're talking about a couple of $1,000s for a trip, and we're talking about a few $100s for insurance, right? And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to need it. But it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So I just wanted to use that moment or that story to implore anyone considering traveling with us to make sure you get your travel insurance with medical, right? And the higher, the better, because you could just hear those expenses piling up. And they wanted to fly her to Fort Lauderdale from the Dominican Republic, right? This is not a very far trip. And they're talking about $23,000 up front for the transportation, right? Are they exploiting people? I'm sure of it, right? But what you gonna do if you're in a foreign country, right? So we just want to implore anybody that travel with us to make sure that you get that. I promise this is not a way that we're adding money to our bottom line. We have nothing to do with these organizations. But it's just something that we know is very important because stuff happens, man. And it doesn't even sound like anything happened on a trip. She just had some sort of other illness or something that was triggered, who knows by what timing, right? So I just wanted to make sure that we continue to put that in front of our audience, right? I just think that that's very important, and hopefully nothing like this ever happens to any of you. And we can just go on and have wonderful trips, learning about the ancestors and learning about their history and tying in the importance of the African continent and contributions. All right. So with that, I want to pivot into a pretty interesting discussion that I was able to have with my dad. So I flew back from Senegal and I flew into Detroit, right? I'm originally from, I mentioned I was in Detroit earlier, but that's where we're originally from. Actually, Inkster, Michigan, if you're familiar with the Detroit area, it's outside of Detroit. I wouldn't exactly call it a suburb, but hey, knock yourself out if you would, if you must, right? But my dad is still there, and I was there. I had to bring dad up on Senegal, right? He had, the food. I had to show him the pictures and the experience. He had to ask me a bunch of questions. This is my man. He's my original international travel buddy. We actually went to Africa for the first time together, 7 years ago, 2017. I think next month. Oh, actually, in a couple of days, it'll be our anniversary of going to Ghana for the first time. So I got a chance to ask him a couple of questions on, his experience. Oh, in the comments, let me know if you've ever been to Africa before. Give me a 0 in the comments if you've never been. Give me a 1 in the comments if you've been there before. I'm just always curious as to who shows up on our Travel Talk Tuesdays and all of our guests. Okay, Kenya, yeah, if you've been, please definitely let me know where you've been. Hey, April, welcome to the discussion. I saw you just jumped in. One South Africa. Okay, Sarah, yeah, Kenya. Carol, I haven't been to Kenya yet. I can't wait to get there. Even though I wasn't the most excited by the Kenya's president in recent days. But that's another conversation. I ain't going to get into the politics, right? Egypt and Zambia. Oh, I love it. Okay, good, good. Thank y'all for participating. But yeah, let me share a couple of thoughts that Dad had on these adventures. This is my man. He is 94 years young now. He was 87 the first time that we went to Ghana for the first time. So here's a little discussion from my man. So the question I asked you, what's your greatest memory of going to Africa? Okay, so my first question to you is, what's your most vivid memory of our travels to Africa, and what stands out most to you?
To Ghana.
Yeah, okay. Well, we've been to Ghana, and we've been to Egypt.
Yeah,
and we've been to Morocco.
You said first trip to Ghana. To Africa.
Your most vivid memory.
Yeah, well, my most vivid memory was when I struck land there in Ghana. Mm-hmm. There was a feeling I had, it's unexplainable. Never been to Ghana before, but in my mind, say, I'm home. Home at last, I mean, that's the feeling you get, it's an unforgettable feeling that place you ain't never been and you feel so comfortable. All of a sudden, there's a bit of freedom amongst you,
Yeah.
That was not unforgettable. When we got to Africa and went to Ghana, and the first thing I felt was that freedom. I ain't never experienced that before. And I think, too, what's the Family Feud guy's name?
Which?
Family Feud. What's his name?
Oh, Steve Harvey.
He experienced the same thing. He said when he got to Ghana, he said, just in Detroit, the same feeling, the same walk, everything was so coherent, It said like, hey, I'm in Africa, hey, I'm down in town Detroit or something. Yeah. That's a feeling that you get though, honestly.
Because the people look familiar. Is that the thing?
The people look familiar. Well, you know what I'm going to say about the people look familiar. When we went to Egypt, man, I saw an Inkster boy on the walls, man. I don't know how many centuries he'd been there, but he was from Inkster.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a familiarity of what you saw, Those were some unforgettable moments when Jay said, come here and look at this. Hey, I know you. Yeah, it was beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
That's my man. He's talking about an experience we had there at Abu Simbel. Okay, so my first question to you is Abu Simbel in oh man, I done blanked out. Nubia, there we go. Man, we were down in Nubia, the home of the Nubians, right? Aswan, there we go. We're in Aswan going to Abu Simbel, which is the home of Pharaoh Ramses II, right? Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about the annual travel insurance. I meant to bring that up. I was asking Dad a couple of questions, right? So what misconceptions were you able to debunk about Africa? It was my okay. So during our travels, what was the major misconception that you was told about Africa and African people that you was able to debunk by seeing?
Well, one thing about Africa, well, I'll just take Ghana. It happened all over though. Other people have misconceptions about what Africa's all about, I remember Alice had a friend. She was a Chinese girl, and she used to bring Alice home. She says, you went to Africa. Yeah, she said, did you see the tigers and lions? Did you gonna get bit by them? I ain't saw no tiger and lion. I just saw some people. people, you know.
Yeah.
This is that misconception you get about Africa. You think you're going to get over there and you're going to be out in the jungle. No, you go in there, man, you can hire your taxi cab down, you know,
Yeah.
and get around.
Call your Uber.
Yeah, call it. Of course, you know, they're not as developed. We had their infrastructure isn't like ours. But we went into a department store then when we was there in Accra. Mm-hmm. When in the department store, you wouldn't know where the department store was at, you know. But the basic thing about Africa was the airport. When we went into the airport, you know, the guy spoke to me because we had on that African shirt, you know. He spoke to me. I didn't know what he said, but he was greeting us, you know. But you look in there, you see the security, the people behind the counter, everybody looked like you. And that's a hell of a feeling, you know. That sense of talking about feeling at home. You know, you didn't feel no type of threatening or nothing. Everybody, oh, hey, bro, yeah, how you doing? You know,
yeah,
like you lived there, you know. But that was one of the experiences I had, you know, as far as adjusting, becoming acquainted with Africa. And like I say, it's kind of hard to explain. To always go over some of the things that happened to us, such as we went to the sat there in the evening. You call your frat brothers over. We sitting there drinking beer and eating fish, you know, and they got the fish with the head on it, you know, and all that. But what struck me mostly was the woman who was trying to get it. I'm assuming she might have wanted a drink or something, but she kept coming over, and they tried to run her away, you know. But it's so familiar as to what happens here. You know, you can drink and somebody might be kind of a little alcoholic. They might want to get a drink. You know, so they keep coming around, and the people who own this the business, they keep running away. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, what I'm trying to get across to, I felt at home. Ain't nothing changed. You know, except the castle. When I found out about Cape Coast, you know.
Yeah.
Now that was hurting. That was really hurting. But other than that, man, that was angst. Really.
Yeah. So they tell you that, you know, you ain't gonna see nothing but Tarzan. That was a lot of people kept saying.
Yeah. Where's Tyler? Where's the lions? Did you see the lions and the girls and all that? Man, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah. We in a major city.
Yeah, we ain't seen no. I ain't seen no animal house over there, did it?
Yeah. No, you didn't. No.
I ain't seen no elephant. No,
none of the places. Egypt, Morocco,
nothing.
Ghana, no, none of that.
There's a real misconception about what Africa is or is all about, you know. But, no, I felt home.
Yeah.
I had that sense of wholeness, you know. I didn't feel like nobody was gonna with some racism say, you know, boy, what you doing here, you know, or we can't serve you because you black or nothing like that.
None of that American stuff.
Not American stuff, no.
Yeah. Let me check. Yeah. I love when my man shares his experience. Okay, so during our chance to capture some of that, I continue to ask him questions, right? So what was it like seeing the Great Pyramids for the first time? He always talks about growing up wanting to see. Talk to us about seeing the Great Pyramids for the first time. What was that like?
The pyramids, you know, I couldn't hardly walk, so I didn't go inside the pyramid, which I would have. Had I have been a younger man, I would have liked to have went in there, you know, just to say I've been inside the pyramid. You know, you went in there, but when I saw the angle I saw from it was beautiful, you know. Pyramids tall like they said they was, you know, and it was distant. The only connection that was somewhat different was when we was over there at the Sphinx, and you could see the pyramids from the Sphinx, right? Mm-hmm. But what got me was the Kentucky Fried Chicken behind us. Now, wait a minute, they show all these pictures. Yeah, commercialized the place. You got Kentucky Fried Chicken right behind us. Pizza Hut. And you can see the Sphinx, you know. And people were looking at the Sphinx, ancient history, with Kentucky Fried Chicken behind us. Man, that was something, you know.
How big were they?
The Sphinx?
Yeah. Well, the Great Pyramids.
I mean, the pyramid. I mean, they were enormous, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that it might have been sort of like the Washington Memorial or something, 550, 600 feet high, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
they were enormous.
Probably
size.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how tall.
The pictures don't do it justice.
No, pictures don't do it justice. You know.
Yeah.
But
I'm Oh, go ahead. You got something else?
No, I just said my.
Okay. Yeah. He so he was there when we went to Egypt. That was last year. It was 2022, October 2022. He was 93 years old. He's 94 now. He'll be 95 in October of this year. But he was 93, so that's why he didn't got a bad wheel. His knee a little bad now. But yeah, that KFC. He talked about KFC so much. Talk to us about. Hilarious. I definitely wanted to include that. And I saw someone asking about the annual travel insurance. I'll share that in just a minute. I got like 2 more videos, I think, of Dad. What did it feel like to cruise down the Nile? He had been dreaming about it his whole. You talk about growing up, always thinking about and dreaming about the Nile River.
Yeah.
Like what was it like? First of all, how old were you on this trip? You were 93 years old.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 93 at this particular trip because that was late October.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to cruise down the Nile. We're kind of try to explain those feelings, thinking about the Nile all your life. And
you hear talk about the Nile, and they compare the Nile with the Amazon. Some say the Amazon is longer, and some say the Nile, all that. But the idea was, I know I didn't know much about the Nile. I know very little about the Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
except that you go off into the jungle. But I was impressed with the Nile and the fact that we went down. We come from Cairo. We're going down the Nile, and then all of a sudden we were at Abu Simbel and all them different places along the river. But if you follow history, like the Aswan Dam and all that, I read something about it,
Mm-hmm.
but they brought it into reality.
Yeah, Luxor.
Yeah, Luxor, and brought it into reality.
Mm-hmm.
And in Luxor, they had all them different, what do you call them? Monuments,
temples, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a fleet of different small, objects to let you know that, that you was in Egypt, Oh, it was a beautiful trip, though.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Yeah.
That's good. All right. I'm glad y'all are enjoying my man. I love to share him. And he always got a story for you, though. So that's you talk about growing up experience, yeah, okay. This is the last one. He talked about he's proud to be African. What I left out, I meant to include is we or before I go into this, and I just got the link for the annual travel insurance, y'all. I'll show you the company that I use. Again, this is not an affiliate link. I'm not in any way affiliated with these people. This is just the insurance that I use. So I'll share that in just a moment. But what I left out of here was him talking about we've done our African ancestry to figure out our DNA, where we come from, right? I've mentioned before, my wife and I, we're through my matriarchal clan, through my mother's, trace my mom's all the way back a couple of thousand years. We end up in Sierra Leone. We're Mende out of Sierra Leone. My wife is the same, and we actually went to Sierra Leone and got dual citizenship there. So I actually have a green passport and a blue one, right? But I swapped my dad for him to do his matriarchal clan, right? So you understand my mom and his mom aren't the same, right? Like my mom takes us on a different path, but when I go up to my father and take his mother's path, we're Yoruba out of Nigeria through her clan, right? And then we did, this is funny to me. We did the patriarchal clan, right? Which they tell you that if you do the patriarchal clan, meaning you chase your father on back, sometimes when you're dealing with us Africans in the diaspora, you might end up in Europe, right? Because it was white men that was raping black women more often than not, right? And that's where the bloodlines kind of get crossed. And I got to be honest, I got these green eyes. I was a little hesitant to go ahead and find out, but we did the the patriarchal clan. So my father's father, all the way back. We found out that we're the Bamileke people out of Cameroon, right? So we still, I be messing with my wife because she always tried to tell me I ain't 100% African, right? But I'm all African, right? But anyway, so Dad knows that he's Yoruba and Bamileke, which we haven't been to those places yet. We're going to Nigeria next year with the Sankofa Experiences, so we're super excited about tying that in. Anyway, I gave you that because before this video, this last video I'm gonna share, he talked about understanding where his people come from and tying in his heritage. And that kind of led him to a conversation about being proud to be African, right? So here's him talking about that.
I'm just proud to be an African. I'm proud of the African descent. You know, being American. I remember the times though. I would have said, hell, I ain't no African. Shit, I ain't never been. I don't know about them people over there. Mm. And in high school and thing when you have American history, you know, African history, they talk about the African. Blacks refuse to acknowledge that they're part of that African continent. You know, I ain't no African. I'm American. All that crap. But now the time has come. I'm proud to be an African, African descent. You know.
Yeah.
Just like the Irish got their Irish descent, the Italians got their thing, the Germans got their. Everybody got something. And we were denying ours, you know. Mm-hmm. But no more. And the thing about what kills me, though, the richest continent in the world is the poorest. Now, just think about that. How in the hell can you have all the resources and you got to beg for a loan from the IMF to do something and you attach a loan to a long interest rate, you know, get you in debt for 50 years, man, on some bullshit they let you have. And all the money and the stuff they let you have was yours to start with.
All the money they got, they loaned you is coming based on your resources.
Yeah, well, based on your resources.
Yeah, the gig is up.
Yeah, the gig is up.
The gig is up. Folks are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
But what I'm so happy about though is I knew it was coming, but I didn't think it was going to be in my time. I just didn't. Because I always talk about the incremental change. I say another 25, 50 years, you know, something like that. It's going to come. But brother, we in the race now.
No, we here.
Ain't no 50 years. What the Chinese did from the time that they got their independence to now, they did that in 50, 60 years, man. They number one. Number two will be number one because they go.
Yeah, they're not playing.
They ain't playing, man. Shit. And they was talking about Africa, Chinese are building this and doing that. It's going to make some money. Everybody making some money. But do you benefit from it? Mm-hmm. They putting the infrastructure over in Africa now. They got, like the United States coming there talking about don't deal with the Chinese. And she's in on a highway built by the Chinese going to a community. Came from an airport that was built by the Chinese going to a community area to talk about the Chinese. And all this was built by the Chinese. Now that's about hypocrisy.
And they ain't built nothing.
Ain't built nothing.
Yeah.
The Chinese, they gonna get you in debt and they gonna take this and take that. Well, hell, we ain't had nothing to start with. Y'all took everything from us with the colonization. Back in 1884 when they divided all of Africa up. Everybody got a piece of it.
Besides Africa.
But Africa. Besides Africa. Shit. No.
I gotta ask you one. Listen, where Pops get the cursing, he is fired up, right? That's definitely not his language. So I definitely know how to kind of push his buttons a little bit with those conversations, but a lot of it frustrates him. You can imagine somebody was born in 1929, right? I often think about He was born the same year as Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Dr. King would be 94, 90, well, he'd be 95 because his birthday was in January. He would be 95 had he not been assassinated. Let's not use that cute word. Had he not been murdered by the American people. So it's often interesting listening to Dad and then reflecting on some of the greats that have been murdered by this particular country. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit of Dad with y'all and those experiences that he had. Let me drop down this travel insurance link because I know a lot of y'all was interested in that. So Allianz is the company that I use. That again, I'm not telling you to get it. I ain't telling you should use them. I'm just telling you who I use, right? That is the company. So if you click that link, you can see their annual plans. I have the $510 a year policy. I travel quite a bit, a couple of times a month. So it makes sense for me. I don't know at what point does it make sense for you. But if you think about it, if you can insure all your trips with $510, just imagine what one trip will cost you when you're purchasing your travel insurance with medical. My travel insurance has medical along with that as well, right? I believe it's $75,000, whereas my cap with like a $250,000 evacuation number as well. So you'll see all the details in there as well. So you make sure that you check that out. Anytime you're traveling abroad, make sure you get additional travel insurance with medical, so we can avoid being the young lady in the first video that I shared. Dad, turns out Dad got another video. I'll save that one. I would ask, why do you think? Yeah, I'll save that one for another time. But it's just good. I want to reemphasize that travel insurance. I want to reemphasize traveling to the continent and traveling the African diaspora and starting to get the history and the culture for ourselves. I think for far too long, I think we've listened to people who have benefited from our demise when it comes to the continent, when it comes to our history, when it comes to reconnecting with Africans and the African culture. We've listened to people who've benefited from keeping us separate. I can tell you personally, Africans don't hate you, right? They're not trying to take advantage of you. They are just as interested in reconnecting with you as we are with them. We just got to get the middleman out the way. And that's what these Sankofa experiences are all about. Let's go and connect one-to-one with one another. And I know a lot of people say they sold you into slavery. And I always ask, well, who got rich? We're the Africans that got rich in this slave trade, right? Because I can show you the Europeans. I can show you the banks. I can show you the insurance companies. I can show you the corporations that were involved in all of this. They all got rich. We're the Africans that got rich. Number one. Number two is, where was the slave trade before the white boys showed up? Number three is, we talk about the slave trade happening in the 1600s and all of that. Did you know it started in 1455 with the Portuguese selling the Horn of Africa, snatching Africans, and doing their demonic things with them? Are you familiar with the Moroccan War, right? The Moroccan War that sent Morocco down into break up Mali in 1591. That really dispersed and gave access to inner Africa, of which the European had never had before then. Are you familiar with that conversation? Are you familiar with them hiring the Moroccans as mercenaries to attack and break up the kingdoms of Mali and Songhai and all of these areas, right? Are you familiar with the brutality of the Western slave trade? So to believe some people that tell you Africans enslaved you when they're the ones that benefited and got rich off of everything, it's kind of like, let's stop doing that, because you have to understand the brutality of these individuals. So I say that because going into a kingdom and chopping off the king's head and then asking who's next in line, chopping their heads off, and then asking who's going to go get some Negroes for us is not beyond the pale of these people, right? And this is the pattern that you've noticed throughout Western Africa and how they got the Africans to get involved in the trade, right? I'm not saying there was no Africans involved, but to pretend that there was no coercion involved is ludicrous, right? It takes one trip into these dungeons to understand the psychopathic nature of the people that you're dealing with. One trip, right? And I know that someone chopping off someone's head in order to get them to go get people for them is beyond your rational thinking, but you're not dealing with rational people. You're dealing with psychopaths, right? And I love to frame the conversation this way because it makes no sense any other way. These people were snatching women, children, and we like to use this term human trafficking, right? That's too sanitized of a word for what was happening, right? But they're snatching women, children, and men, packing them together in dungeons, and then praising the Lord on the church above them while you could hear the screams of children being ripped from the arms of their mothers, right? There's no human trafficking doesn't do it. Murdering doesn't do it. Psychopaths is the only word that can explain anyone involved in this type of activity. And the most devious of behaviors is not beyond the pale for them, right? So I just be wanting to frame that conversation because they use that as a wedge to keep us apart, right? And then you might say, well, why didn't the Africans come and get us? We tend to forget that there was a war and the Africans lost, right? They didn't say, them Portuguese wasn't sailing the Horn of Africa and was like, hey, we're in the market for some Negroes. Would you happen to have some? No, they came down there with their warlike psychopathic mentality, starting to murder, death, kill anybody that got in their way. John Henry Clark is my favorite historian, and he always talks about the Europeans discovered in Africa things that they decided they couldn't live without, and they didn't want to pay for it. And that's the mentality that they brought throughout the entire continent when they engaged in these wars, right? And the Africans lost. They didn't have nothing to come and get us because they were dominated there in their homeland. And when you get to Africa and you start to engage the different communities and the different people, you start to realize that most of them to this day don't know what happened to us over here. And that sounds preposterous, right? It's like, how would you not know about the international slave trade? Well, first you got to realize they were educated by the people who dominated them, right? It's not like they were just on a beach chilling and just was like, hey, I don't really care what happened to my cousins or my brothers and sisters or my parents. They lost a war, right? And then they were educated because anytime a military fraction goes into a place, they take over two things first, right? After the win, they take over the educational system and the media outlet, right? They got to control the propaganda and they need to educate the next generation so that they can miseducate them to believe in them, right? And this is exactly what you see throughout Africa, paved by the Europeans. And my second thought to, well, why don't the Africans know anything about what happened to us? I like to ask us, what happened to the Africans? You know this word colonization, but what was going on during those time periods, right? You have no idea because it wasn't mixed into your education. The people who captured you, brought you over here into the Americas and educated you since birth and educated you for generations, didn't bother to tell you what they were doing to them over there. So you flip on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and it was the same thing. They didn't bother to tell them what was going on. And you might say, well, man, in the age of information, how ain't nobody figured it out yet? You still don't know what was going on with them. Why would they know what's going on with you, right? So we have to start to get together and start to draw this reconnection ourselves, right? And this is what The Sankofa Experiences are about, it's about reconnection. It's about travel. It's about exposure. It's about history. But we really need to start reconnecting both sides of the Atlantic and all of the African diaspora, because it's clear ain't nobody else on this planet trying to help us, right? So we are going to have to get serious about coming together and helping ourselves. And I like to think like this is a small part in what we're doing, but this activity reverberates throughout your family. When I first started doing this, my family wasn't thoroughly interested in Africa. Now they starting to book their trips. Now they're starting to ask me more questions about our DNA and our ancestry. Now they're starting to ask me more questions about these experiences that I'm having on the continent. It's starting to reverberate throughout our families, right? And this is what happens with people who go on these experiences with us. I did want to share, right, an opportunity to come with us. And I think I see some comments. I got to see if I got any questions. Okay, got you. Use Allianz before, uneventful but reliable. Yeah. Yeah, racial personality. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, man. This history, there's a lot going on with us in the community and the history that's about it, right? So Dad mentioned Ghana. I wanted to bring up our Ghana trip. The adult prices start at $41.74. There's a visa application. You have to mail in your passport, which is anxiety driving, but that's just kind of how the process happens. We walk you through all of this. The only requirement is that you have a yellow fever vaccination within the last 10 years. If you have a medical reason not to get it, you can talk to your doctor and get a note, and you don't have to have it. My dad went when he was 87 years old. The doctor felt like he shouldn't take that at his age, and he didn't, right? And it was an uneventful trip. So that was a good thing, right? But we have 15 dates available between this year and 2025. The airport that you fly into is KIA. And Sister Ashley has dropped the link in the chat. I thought I saw that. Ashley, can you drop the link then into the chat for the Ghana trip so you can see that? Dad also, here you go. When can you go, right? There's 4 dates available in 2024, 11 dates in 2025. But here's the breakdown on the pricing. You notice the prices go up in 2025. Hey, what's going on around the world? Prices of everything is increasing. The longer you put off these trips, the more it's going to cost, not just with us. That's just what's happening around the world. I don't know if it's a combination of the devaluation of the dollar or if life's just getting more expensive, but this is what is happening. I'm sure you've been to the grocery store. I'm sure you know exactly what is happening around the country, or around the world and around the country. That's Dad there at Abu Simbel that he was talking about in his talks. But our adult prices for Egypt start at $47.35. All meals are included in the Egypt trip, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Visa applications upon arrival is no big deal. There's no vaccinations needed. There are 6 dates available in 2024 and 2025. CIA is the airport that we fly into. Here are the dates for 2024 and 2025. We got October and November of 2024. 2025, we're going in February, April, late April, June, late June, and then late October. We like the late for these. But again, you see the pricing changing and increasing as you go into 2025. That's just a pattern that is happening with all of, not only again, these trips just around the world in general, right? Any questions that you have for me? Oh, wait a minute. Exiting with that. All right, if you got any questions, you can raise your Zoom hand, or you can drop the comments, drop the questions in the comments. There we go, got that back. All right, anything for me? I don't see any Zoom hands. Ashley, I'm not on. Why are the children's prices lower? Yeah, children's prices are lower. They're 40% off for children ages 5 to 11 during the time of trip. Um, that's just kind of the deal that we were able to work out with our vendors, Carol. That's a good question. 5 to 11 children traveling with us during that age, right? During the moment of travel, if they're 5 to 11, they get 40% off on the discount. Children under the ages of 5 are free. Okay. But we don't got no daycare. We're not watching the children, right? So we have to make sure that we put that out. It's been a beautiful experience every time the young people have come with us. But we definitely want you to bring your children. We want them to have this experience early. I understand the younger children are something most people like to bring their teenagers so that they can have a bit more of a discussion and a memory of these experiences. But we have had people bring those in the ages of 5 to 11 with us. We haven't had any children under that age just yet. If you bring a child under the age of 5, depending on the trip, if there is a domestic flight, meaning in our Egypt trip, we take a flight from Cairo down to Luxor. That's Cairo's at the top of Egypt. Luxor is in the center. We fly down to Luxor and then we board the cruise ship and take a 3-day cruise down the Nile, headed into Aswan. That particular trip may have an additional fee just for that flight, just securing the seat for the child on the flight. It always just depends. So there is that. All right, Carol, so hopefully I address most of that. Any other questions for us? Anything that you might have, anything about Ghana, anything about Egypt, anything about any of the places that we go. If you go to sankofaexperiences.com, you can see all of the places that we travel. And we're traveling to Egypt, Morocco, Ethiopia, Kenya, Senegal, the Gambia, Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Zanzibar, South Africa, Colombia, and Brazil. And we're warming up Spain and Portugal. It's just not quite ready just yet. I'm getting ready in August to go to Cuba. So at some point we'll offer that trip as well. But I'm really excited about that. Dad hasn't been to Cuba, so I'm just getting Dad there. It's kind of a personal trip. So we'll see how that goes. Do you have classes on the trip? There's no direct classes, but all of our trips have historians and local guides. Our trip is a Black History travel experience. That is the reason that we're going. We'll have our own guides on all of the trips throughout. And then at certain locations, we might meet up with a particular historian to go deeper into that particular area. For example, like the El Minas dungeon comes to mind. So while we're there, they have the dungeons historians there. So we definitely join and attach to that particular trip. Average number on the trip is somewhere between 25 and 30. Those are our numbers, and we decided to pretty much cap at 30, right? So depending on the trip and the popularity, South Africa has been smaller. They've been about 15 people on those trips, but 30 is usually our number that we like to hit, 25 to 30. We were just in Senegal. We had 30 people on that trip. So it's just a good number for transporting the people. Great question, Simone. Anything else? Y'all got anything for me? All right. I am going once, going twice, right? I'm still sticking around. Does the fee only cover expenses in Africa? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. So I would say, I think I get it. Yes. So that is, yes. So international airfare is not included. I think that's maybe what you're asking there, Carol. So you have to get to the destination. If we're flying in, if you're talking about Ghana, you're flying into Accra, we'll pick you up from there. And then everything is, take your transportation and everything is taken care of from there. Yeah, pay our separate airfare. Yes, except for the domestic travel, right? So even in Ghana, we fly to Kumasi. So we fly into Accra, and that's basically the staying point, the main point of that particular journey. But we have a day trip to Kumasi, which is in the center of Ghana. So we'll fly up there to meet up with the Ashanti people. We have some experiences up there. Then we'll fly back that night, but all of that is included. So the fee covers hotel and travel within Africa. Yes. And then all of the excursions that we have, the entrances into the various activities that we're doing, the museums that we're going to. Yeah, all of that is included. In Ghana, your breakfast is included. So then you'll still be responsible for lunch and dinner. In Egypt, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. You'll be responsible for your drinks, right? Just the drinks. All right. Yeah, so all of that information, if you click the link and go to the page, all of that is detailed and laid out. And if there's anything that you're like unsure about, or I don't know, you can always shoot us an email at support@sankofaexperiences.com. If you can't remember that and you're familiar with Urban Intellectuals, you can shoot an email to support@urbanintellectuals.com. So just remember to put support on it and we'll be fine. I'm looking for 2026. I'm booked up until then. Portugal looking great. That was missed out in the African Lisbon walking tour. Yeah, Sarah, we'll be releasing 26 soon. We haven't released those dates just yet. So thank you for that. That'll keep us working. Ashley, can you make a note of that? How far in advance do you recommend getting airfare? The further out, the better. Simone. Just sometimes, if you're over a year out, if you're talking about traveling with us in, fall of 2025, sometimes the airlines won't even be offering those flights just yet. But yeah, the further out is typically the best, right? We are recommending now using like Google Flights, and then you can set a price alert, and every time the price goes down, they'll shoot you an email. So you can check that out. Sometimes I book using Expedia. That's always worked for me. I believe they have price alerts on there as well, but you just kind of want to get your price alerts and start checking out and really looking at what's offered. Sent you guys a few messages a week ago. My business partners with booked through 2024. Would it be UIs using the properties in Mozambique, Cape Town? Yeah. So if you inbox me, shoot an email to hey Mark, yeah, shoot an email to support@sankofaexperiences.com. Let's pick that up there. It was a lot there. I was kind of skimming it. Yeah, okay, as well. Okay, Southside Inglewood, got that. Yeah, shoot an email to support@sankofaexperiences.com, or there you go, support@urbanintellectuals.com, and we can pick up that discussion there. All right, excellent. Y'all got some great questions. You already did. All right, bet. Perfect then. They'll definitely get the information to me or Sister Ashley. Ashley is our travel coordinator, so she kind of handles all of the details, and she's working the comments here today. So that was great. Man, all right. Well, I'm not going to hold y'all. I definitely appreciate y'all engaging with me this afternoon. I'm going to put on our closeout video, just give you an overview of the Sankofa experiences. Support@urbanintellectuals.com or support@sankofaexperiences.com if you have any additional.
Greetings, I'm Freddie Taylor, CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, and we are behind the Sankofa Experiences. This is where Black history travel made easy is not just our mantra, it's a promise. Our mission? To reconnect you with your roots, your culture, and the history of the African diaspora. Now spanning across 10 African nations and the vibrant cultures of Colombia and Brazil, the Sankofa Experiences is expanding. We've crafted curated group travel experiences that do more than just visit. They immerse, they educate, they transform. From the historic forts of Ghana to the bustling markets of Nigeria, the serene beaches of the Gambia to the rugged mountains of Morocco, and beyond even South Africa and South America, each destination holds a special place and part of our story. Embarking on these Sankofa journeys means more than just exploring more landscapes. It means walking in the footsteps of the ancestors. embracing the diversity of our heritage and seeing the world through a lens of understanding and appreciation. It's a group experience where every traveler is a thread in the fabric of the shared narrative, making the journey safe, engaging, and unforgettable. So are you ready to embark on this adventure? To explore, to learn, to celebrate the legacy that connects us all? Join us in the Sankofa Experiences, proudly powered by urban intellectuals. The only thing missing is you.
Excellent. And hopefully we can solve that. You decide to make a decision to come on and join us on one of these experiences. Again, you can catch more information at sankofaexperiences.com. Sister Ashley just dropped that down in the comments. But we are here for you to answer any questions that you need. I appreciate y'all joining me on this Tuesday afternoon. I got a little bit long today, but I love sharing dads. So I'm a little biased with that one. So hopefully y'all enjoyed the discussion today at our Travel Talk Tuesdays. And I'll see you next week on that. Or I'll see you Thursday as we talk about going to South Africa with the Urban Intellectual Sankofa Experiences. Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. Have a good day. Thank you, Simone. I appreciate that. Thank you, April. Appreciate all of y'all, Carol and Jeff and Freddie. Freddie, great name out there, good brother. I love that. But yeah, there's the link to Thursdays for South Africa to get all of those details, the nitty gritty details, and answer any questions that you have. I appreciate y'all joining me again. Until next time, good people, let's get in these travel streets. Let's learn about our history, our culture, and let's reconnect our community and our people. So till next time, love, peace, and power to the people. Thank you.